Hi guys, welcome to today's video. I hope you like today's video because it's completely different, but I want to take you through the filming process that I'm gonna do for a lecture that I'm giving at Goa University based on the social change and how services and service marketing is impacted because of social. Yeah, I think that works, right? Am I clear? Okay, so what's the age group that I have in the audience today? 18. So give me a show of hands of who's from 18 to 20. 20 to 22. Anybody above 22? Cool. Anybody above 25? Anyway, so basically, I just wanted to know that so that I know that the kind of audience, the group that I'm kind of talking to, it just always helps. Another thing that I want is I want people to interact with me. Cool? Great. This is going to be an odd one. I always use examples from the audience. Do I have somebody, any couple here? Guy dating girl, girl dating guy, guy. Any couples? Great, thank you. Give me your names. Sohail. Jyoti. Okay, so I'm going to use an example of Sohail and Jyoti somewhere through my speech, and I needed to get not Sohail, right? I don't want to get names wrong. Sohail, Jyoti, thank you. So basically, before I actually start with my entire speech, I want to know the kind of group is, what are you all studying? Management? Perfect. Okay, so how many of you know me? How many of you have heard about me? Anything? Yeah? Cool. So before I actually start, I would like you to know why I'm actually here talking to you and why you should listen to me. Will the 1 hour speech that I'm going to give you, will it change your life? Will it do something? No, because it's 1 hour and we basically have hundreds of hours. But if I can make a small impact in somebody's life that will kind of change the way they look at entrepreneurship and look at the social drive that we can and how we could use marketing to basically get our brand out, get a business out, that would be something that would impact me. So let me start. I basically was in Damodar College a couple of years back, and some years back when I was in Damodar College, I used to get this about 60 rupees to travel to college. Now, when I used to get the 60 rupees to travel to college, that was quite annoying because 40 rupees out of that would go for my bus travel, and the remaining 20 would go for samosa and thumbs up. I used to drink thumbs up every day. I used to be really fat. I'm not that fat anymore. The thing is, because of that whole thing, it got quite annoying because I did not have a lot of pocket money. And asking my mom for pocket money every single day got a little annoying because for one simple reason, I didn't want to be on the receiving end of begging for money. So I thought of doing something a little different. Now, a lot of people, my college used to start in the morning, so a lot of people travel from Kansaulam to Margao. So I thought of how about I just hitchhike and get to college by asking for a lift. That way I save 40 rupees. Cool? Now, if I save 40 rupees over 2 days, and if I go to Kolva Beach with my friends, I get a pair of sunglasses at Kolva Beach for 80 rupees. Now, how does sunglasses help me make a little money? So what I did with the 80 rupees was I used to save it over 3 days. So 3 days, 40 rupees, how much do I get? 120 bucks. 120 bucks would cost me 80 rupees for the sunglasses. The remaining 40 rupees that I got would basically be for me to get 20 rupees of packaging to pack the sunglasses, and the remaining 10 to ship them, and 10 rupees was pretty much what I would use sometimes for packaging paper or depending on the weight of the package. Now, what would I do with that is I would sell the sunglasses. Everybody loves Goa. Agreed? So I used to put an ad on eBay called Goa Sunglasses. People loved it. So basically, I used to sell the same pair of sunglasses that I picked up for 80 rupees on eBay for approximately about 390 rupees to 440 rupees. And that's pretty much how I started my company. So I used to do that until the dispatch started to around 40 to 60 every single day. And it continued from Kolva Beach where I used to pick up the sunglasses. After that, my mom wanted me to accompany her to Mapsa market, where I realized that the same pair of sunglasses available for 60 rupees, which basically puts me into a 20 rupee profit. That's how I started funding my company. My problem with that was I was still 16 at the time. So I started my first company with the whole eBay shop when I was 16. I did not understand anything about trademark or copyright. So Ray-Ban slapped a huge case against me because I was using a word called Goa's Wayfarer sunglasses. Apparently the word Wayfarer is copyrighted by Ray-Ban, so my entire shop got shut down, needed to pay for compensation, lost all my money again. So basically I was down to zero again. That was the first company I did. But the benefit of that was I learned how to kind of get into sales. That was the first thing. Apart from that, I liked photography. I always found that it was fun. Everybody at that time was getting onto Orkut and Facebook, so people would post great pictures. I had a Moto V3, it was this Razr phone that I used to have at the time. Rubbish pictures. But I wanted to get a great camera, so I started working as a DJ in a restaurant. How I funded for getting my DJ equipment, I didn't have any. I had a laptop. Connect my laptop, play music. Totally works. So I did that for a little while, made about 24,500 rupees, and bought my first camera. What I didn't realize is just having a camera does not give you business. So in other words, I bought the camera and I had no money again. So what I did after that was once I got my entire the money and the camera, I started doing a lot of profile pictures for friends. This was way back in 2007, 2008, around the starting of that. And everybody wanted a nice profile picture. I was clicking pictures in SLR. Everybody liked that. And that's how a friend of mine was having a party for Easter. So that was the first time somebody approached me and he said, see, I've seen your pictures. You've got a couple of good pictures of people's faces and all of that. Can you do that for a party? So I said, great. So I shot that from around 7 at night till 7 in the morning, earned 1,000 rupees. And that was the first time I got paid for photography. After that, a few friends wanted me to get into photography with birthdays and start shooting with anniversaries and all of that. But I realized that I was just a photographer, and just being a photographer, I was selling at about 5,000 to 7,000 rupees for a shoot, which if I did add that other video guy who was also shooting the birthdays, if I could add him to me and sell us together at a little extra premium on both the products, I could get that guy onto my team. So that's how I pretty much started hiring people. Eventually, I stopped photography about 3 years back now. I don't personally shoot, but that's how we basically built a company where we started getting people who wanted to build a brand, who wanted to grow as photographers and kind of add a brand so that people buy a package and not a person. And that's how I started the company Studio 7 that you heard so much about earlier. Now, it is quite embarrassing when you need to stand there and somebody's praising you, so probably next time I'll just sit there till they finish the speech. So that's pretty much how I started my company. My big break happened once when I was working, sorry? Okay. I got a call and then somebody asked me for a couple of pictures, so those pictures kind of got picked up for another project that I was working on. So that's kind of how the company started progressing. And that's pretty much a whole long and short of me. Now, what makes us stand out today as a social and the whole service-related business? Why should somebody book us and not book anybody else? Or why should we kind of stand out? In today's world, I honestly think that social is the biggest platform in general, when you take social as a whole platform, to grow any business. You agree with me? Do you want me to slow down? I can talk a little fast. It gets annoying. Am I okay? Yes. Great. Now see, I think that social in general is something that we completely has taken over media per se. And now if I call up somebody, I call up my friend Rohit here and I tell him, Rohit, see, this is what, I need to start a media company with you. So Rohit is just standing there and looking at me, and he's like, we need to start the biggest media agency. And let's start advertisements, let's start with newspapers, let's start with broadcasting, let's start with TV, and let's get the brand out. Now, what's the first idea that will come to somebody's head? How do we start? And what's the biggest problem? Somebody can give me suggestions? Finance. Did somebody say finance? Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Now, when it comes to social media today, I think that bridges the gap between the amount of finance that you needed 20 years back to the finance that you need now. Can somebody give me an example why you think, why you would maybe agree with me that finance today has considerably reduced when it comes to social, when we want to get a brand out?
You can create your own page on Facebook.
Perfect. That's a beautiful example that you can create your own page. How would creating your own page affect getting a brand image out?
You have friends on Facebook, so they like your page and then they share, and then afterwards you put up some pictures on your page, so people come and people start liking it.
Perfect. So what would that have replaced?
That would have replaced the giving ads on newspapers and
Beautiful. You know what okay, so Facebook is one example. Can somebody give me something else? I heard somebody said Instagram. I mean, you honestly can say it aloud and that is not wrong. So, did somebody say Instagram? So how would Instagram help you? When was the last time you went to a photo studio and printed a photo album? When was the last time you actually saw a photo album on Instagram? So basically, in my opinion, trending and news is basically replacing traditional ways that we would scan for trending news in the past. Like we wake up in the morning and we look at our Twitter because we check what's trending and we know exactly what's trending, right? So instead of looking at the news sticker at the bottom, how many of you wake up in the morning, first thing you put up NDTV and you look at the bottom in today's world? How many of you do that? Put your hands up. Nobody does that. How many of you look at the most trending page on your either your Facebook news feed or your Twitter? How many of you do that? First thing in the morning. Cool. So that's basically how I think that Twitter has taken over news and trending in general. Make sense? What has replaced newspaper articles on, for example, I'm not trying to diss Herald or any newspaper, but for example, you remember that Herald page that you used to get, Herald Cafe? Yeah? Now, what has replaced that in today's world? The blog. So the blog has basically replaced the third page that we would wait at the end of the week for just one page. But basically here with a blog, you basically can get every single topic with so much of content of every possible form of derived content that we can get customized to you. So basically, I think that social in general, when it comes to the blog, has replaced the traditional form of the newspaper. Next thing. What is live TV? Anybody works with Periscope? Not really. So Periscope is basically, in my opinion, what we could replace live TV. Like if I was at the top of a tall building and I want to showcase exactly what it is, turn on my Periscope, show people that I am standing on the top of Petronas Towers, and do you want to have a view? You'd probably get a couple of thousand views of people who will actually log into your live TV channel and watch it. Now that takes it one step further because instead of just switching on, waiting for a big camera gear to follow you, you are broadcasting live. Now you can broadcast on every possible media. When Facebook bought Instagram and all of them went into live, YouTube started live. We have live TV sitting in our pockets. So live TV has basically been replaced by social media. Agreed? Cool. How many of you watch Netflix? So it's basically, how many of you have Netflix on your smartphone? Amazon Prime, Netflix, same thing. I mean, not the same shows, but you know what I mean. Cool. So basically, I think that TV is being replaced by the mobile phone, and all of us basically have that entire agenda. The reason why I'm building this is because I just want us to build like a whole idea around it of what social is doing to traditional forms of media. Okay? The next thing, what has replaced radio? Podcast. Beautiful. So every time you want to listen to something from the radio, instead of the traditional form of radio, where radio in general is dying with their user base, all you need to do is log into your radio channel on your podcast, and all you need to do to broadcast your podcast is you just need a quiet space and you need time to talk. And you do it once a day and you're sorted. Cool? So basically, the reason why I want to build this whole thing, that social is more influencing lives today, is because everybody has a smartphone that is connected to the internet, which gives you a platform to speak to not just that small little audience, or not just an audience that you're stuck in front of a TV or you're stuck in your car, but you pretty much put your headphones to your phone and you can listen to that. You can pull your phone out and you can watch live TV. You basically have your news at your fingertips, is what I think why social is influencing business today. I started my company not too long ago. My company actually started in the year 2009, which is about 8 years now, but I think that the biggest boost happened when we thought of moving our company into completely an online company, where 2 years back we shut down every one of our physical offices. I used to hold an office in Goa, Bombay, Bangalore, and as of today, we have completely shut down because social has taken over our platform completely, in the sense that social kind of replaces the form of traditional media. So now if I go on to the example where I had Rohit here, and I ask Rohit, should we start a media agency? How much do you think it would have cost me 15 years back to start up a TV company, a radio broadcast? We start up, cool. We start up a radio broadcast company, we start up a TV broadcast, we start up a newspaper. How much on an estimate do you think it would have costed me 15 years back? Infrastructure, everything. Somebody give me an oddball. Throw a figure, there's no right or wrong. I mean, none of us are going to do the actual maths to it, but a couple of lakhs, at least a couple of crores, because it's going to be, you need to set up towers, broadcast, you need to set up all of that. How much is it going to cost us today when it comes to social? Free. Cool. So basically, all you need to do is download the app. You need probably a great internet connection, which is not too much of a problem nowadays. And that's pretty much it. A concern that people do have is, what do you think is a concern that somebody might have today when it comes to a complaint that a lot of people have when it comes to social? Anybody? Privacy, I think we want our content to be out. Like when we want to start a company, I think we want our content to be out. So privacy is a concern, but I think it's up to us how much we want to get onto social. So I don't think that is too much of a problem. A lot of times I hear people say, I'm running a business. I started my business 15 years back. How am I going to make time? Because I open my office at 8 in the morning, I close my office at 8 at night, super tired. How am I going to work through it? Now, I think businesses today and entrepreneurs today need to understand that if you're putting time out for social, that is not extra time that you need to put out for social, because social has replaced traditional advertising. And it is not that you're doing something extra, but you're doing the same form of advertising in a different form. How long would it take for you to tweet a tweet in the morning? Under 30 seconds? So basically, in 7 days, you basically are using 30 seconds a day. Sorted? If you want to post one video a week, how long does it take for you to pull out your cell phone, point the video to your face? If you're not looking at editing, you're just looking to get your content out, to post a video onto your YouTube or Facebook live stream. How long would it take you? Approximately 5 to 7 minutes. So basically, you've used talk about that Monday morning. You're using 7 minutes plus 30 seconds. Apart from that, one Facebook post to tell people what you're doing with your company. How long would that take you? Another 2 minutes, so you've come to 9 minutes. Apart from that, do you want to broadcast on Periscope something that you're traveling with your company to, or your company is doing something big? You want to post for approximately 10 minutes. You've gone to 17 minutes. Anything else that you want to go to? Every possible form of media you've basically covered. You've covered visual. You want to get into a podcast. Podcast for about 10 minutes odd. We have come to 27 minutes. In under 27, it's about 27 minutes in a day. And you don't need to do it every day. Once a week, only your tweets and your Instagram post, one post a day, kind of brings you up to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is 4% of your entire day. 4% to build your own company. Does that make sense? So how many times, a lot of times I get asked this question, as in, yeah, I know you talk about social, I know you talk about getting your brand out and getting your brand onto social media, but is it something that really works for me? I need to put that extra time out to get that time to work on my social, to get my Instagram out. It takes you half an hour a day, which is 4% of your day. You basically have the other 96% to work your business. So if you can get the company to such a big platform with absolutely no cost apart from your mobile data or your Wi-Fi, that is something today that we should consider how social is taking us to a much bigger market than we ever could. Agreed? Does anyone have a question about any of this part till now? No? Anything? Cool. So basically that's why I think social is taking over. Now, another thing that a lot of people say is, see, I don't want to balance. When you talk about videos, I am personally a YouTuber as well. I used to vlog every day till about 2 weeks back, where I took a season gap, and I'm starting again from the 1st of October. But the reason a lot of people complain is they say, I'm not much of a person who wants to get my personal life out onto social media. I think that's something that you said about privacy. And how many of you think that as a YouTuber, you don't want everything from your personal life to be put on YouTube? How many of you think that? Cool. Now, when we talk about the 6 minutes of your YouTube video, within 6 minutes, why do you want to put all your personal details? Rather, try to get the target audience that you want, move on to targeting that audience, and speak and create content only around that. So you don't have to put all your personal details on it. Cool. So it kind of gets your brand out, because as a brand person, as an entrepreneur, as a person who's trying to build their company today, in today's world, I think that getting a brand image out makes more sense, because you need to communicate what you want to get out. Like, how many of you want to eventually not work for somebody but have your own business? Cool. Now, if you want to work and have your own business and want to get your brand image out, who will know better about your brand, what you want to do, than yourself? Would it be your manager, yourself, or the people you hire to work for you from your HR department? Yourself, because that is basically your baby, your idea, your plan, and what do you want to get. So you getting your plan out to the market audience that you want to target is basically, you need to speak with your audience. You will be able, the first time I started vlogging and I started getting onto social, I honestly found it really difficult, because how could I talk to a camera and assume that when I'm talking to a camera, it is people that want to watch me? How do I know that that is the content and the type of content that people want to watch? So that was one of the biggest drives and the biggest problems that I had. But eventually, you kind of grow on to building yourself as a marketing face of your company, building an image as a brand of your own company, and building a personal brand where the company is one. Like, I run a company called Studio 7. I run a company called the Tony C. Pacheco Group, and a couple of other small companies that basically facilitate this. But the face of the company and the brand that I want to grow and the brand image that I want to make can be communicated best to my staff if I personally do it, and I basically can speak to my audience, because I know my brand. And I think this mic is dying out on me. Check 1, 2, and it's dead. And it's alive. So basically, getting the whole brand out, I think you as the marketing head of your company and the person that you want to convey is the biggest face that you can put to your company, as those people who want to start your own company, to build your own face in front and your personal brand image of your company. Do you agree with me? Yeah? So I think one thing in between, I worked for an insurance company for about, I was 18 at the time when I worked with an insurance company. And I worked as a probationary business associate, and then I got into a business associate. I used to work for AIG, and at the time, I was the youngest employee that they had who was running the BA module of Tata AIG. I started off really early. I started before I was 18, so I couldn't close any business officially. I had to close it under somebody else's code. Now, the biggest thing that I learned in an insurance company, and something that I think everybody should, more than, I'm not telling anybody to join an insurance company or join some particular industry, but I think that one thing that kind of hit me and kind of got to me as a person is when you're working in an insurance company or in a sales company or in a banking firm or trying to sell something, as long as people know that you want to sell them something, people will absolutely hate you. Every person on your contact list, the moment you call them up and you tell them that you're an insurance agent, they will hate you. You will be on the block list, on their phone. Every time you try and call them up, how many people have got a call from an insurance company trying to sell you an insurance policy and you have cut the call saying, ma'am, I'm busy right now, please call me later. Put your hands up if you've ever got a telemarketing call that you've avoided. Cool? How many of you have never got a call from a telemarketing firm? Okay, so basically half of the audience do not have phones. See, the thing is, what I'm trying to make a point is everybody gets telemarketing calls and not everybody loves them. But it's just that convincing the person on the other side of the phone, convincing the person when you meet them, that you are not trying to do, I forgot your name again. Sohail. Sohail. And? Sohail and Jyoti. So if Sohail wants to propose to Jyoti, okay, can you tell me about the time when he asked you out? Wait, he asked you out, right? Okay. So you didn't ask her out?
I did.
You did. So how did you ask her out? Let me get this down to you. Ah! Yeah. I'm going to do this. Tell me the story. You don't mind telling me?
No,
Cool.
it's cool.
Great.
Okay, so well, it's kind of funny that I first got drunk,
Yeah.
and then I did the most stupidest thing is that I just touched her on the shoulder, and I asked her, "Is there any chance that you like me?" She just smiled. She looked at me, and in a while she said yes,
Okay.
and that was it.
Cool.
And
Cool. Now, I want to know from her why she said yes.
that is my USP.
Tell me, what is the one thing that you liked about him?
His understanding nature.
Okay. So she said the one thing that she liked about him is his understanding nature. Now, if she did not like anything about him, she absolutely hated this guy. He used to come drunk to college, smoke in class, spit pan on the edges, do every possible thing apart from study, be nice to her, and absolutely treat everyone as he hated them. Do you think that she would have liked him? Do you think that if he came to class, rolled in mud, dirty every day, stinking of sweat, that she would like him? But the thing that she likes about him is she sees him as a potential person that she could date. Reason, he kind of gets that across to her. Make sense? Now, she liked him because he can understand her. So, in other words, Sohail has marketed himself as a person who can be understanding and somebody that she can relate to as somebody that she sees herself dating. So ultimately, every form of business and every form of thing that we do in life basically comes down to business and comes down to marketing yourself well. So ultimately, the whole thing that I'm trying to get around is more than anything in life and anything when it comes to business and getting your brand out, getting a business out, getting a promotion, getting a raise in your job, you basically need to understand how you need to market yourself, learn marketing more than anything else in your life. When they sent me the topic about what's basically happening, changing in service marketing, those words service marketing, I love the fact that I had the word marketing because I love talking about marketing. And a reason being, every form of business comes down to marketing, presenting yourself well, and selling that one idea, that one concept that you're so passionate about. Like he is passionate about her and he wants to date her. Such that she falls in love with him. So she's, before all of this, the first time you said yes to him, was that the first time you ever saw him? No. So the thing is, she did not see him at that time. She saw him before. So ultimately, she had already built this idea about the kind of person he is. So he has marketed himself in the fact that this is why he's marketed himself, and then you get what you want. So market the product or the brand that you want, okay? And that's how you pretty much build that whole brand image to get what you want to your user or your subscriber or your market out to the person that you want by marketing yourself well. So I think that marketing is something that we basically need to work on more than any other form. And that's pretty much the first what I wanted to talk about. Does it make sense? Anybody has a question? Cool? Yeah? Can you just tell me approximately how long have I taken? Cool. So basically, that is what I do. I'm not a huge fan of LinkedIn per se because I don't really spend too much of time on it. But if we want to get a company or a brand out, LinkedIn is something that I work with once or twice a week. And I'm just talking about all social networks and how that influences marketing. The reason I'm doing that is because every time we want to hire somebody or we want to do a background check for a business platform, I think that having a LinkedIn profile is also something that replaces the traditional form of going to a hiring firm to look for a job, where we can kind of build our own company around building a social platform for marketing and growing the company brand image that we want to have. When we have something like LinkedIn per se, I didn't bring that up in the first topics because we were talking about building a media company. But I think that LinkedIn in general is also something that you should consider when it comes to building a market brand. Cool? Yeah, so does anybody have any questions on marketing, sales, getting your brand out? Tell me.
The thing is, I have a constant war between myself about building myself as a brand or building an individual identity or a company per se. Like if you have content writing as a product, would you build yourself as a brand to a name to the audience, or you build a separate identity for the company? Do I take up my name or I make a separate name for the company?
That's a brilliant question. Did everybody hear his question? Cool. So basically, I'll just repeat his question though. What he said was, should he build a personal brand? So just so that I get it clear, should he build a personal brand or get a brand image out? Yeah. I personally, for the first couple of years, I worked with a brand called Antonio C. Pacheco Photography. And I got into this business group where I used to stand up and talk about videos and talk about all of that. And then I realized that people was kind of putting me apart as the photographer, when honestly I wasn't the photographer in the company. And that's why I came out with Studio 7. Now, Studio 7 is a company that does photography, video productions, ad films, all of that that my company does. But the reason why I put Studio 7 as a brand is Studio 7 is building itself up. Studio 7 is an entity where I am working for Studio 7. I own Studio 7, but I'm working for the brand so that brand builds an image for itself. However, I personally build my own brand as Antonio C. Pacheco so that people can connect with the face behind Studio 7 that has built it. So I think the question that you're asking me, whether to build your personal brand or the brand of a company, it's not if, it is build both. For one simple reason, if you have a concept where you want content right, is that your niche? Okay, so if you want to build a brand that does content writing, I think you could build a brand that works through content writing, but the company that owns the brand of content writing could be owned by yourself. So you're building a personal brand because assume in the future you take content writing to a whole different level with another module added to the company. It'll be you as an entrepreneur growing your company XYZ, which owns content writing and also has another module. So you're basically building a company around it. So I would think that building a personal brand along with building a company brand and growing both of them together facilitate each other. Does that make sense? Does that solve the question? Thank you. Anyone else? Cool. So I think that sums it up. Anybody has any questions, you can connect with me on social media and all of that. I think I'm done with my hour, but it's been great talking to you guys. And thank you for the example. I got a question.
What if you want to do some field work marketing, like something not social media, something more personal with an audience, how would you suggest?
If you do not want to get onto social, but you want to get into personal, I think that's what I'm. Sorry.
One-to-one relation with potential customers.
As much as social helps, social always helps you to get a brand out to a bigger audience. But every single day, I sit with my clients. I sit with kinds of clients who do not want to only see my work socially. So I think that is where a similar topic of the previous question comes up, where should you build your own personal brand? Like this morning I was sitting with a client where they have booked me on my website and they did a booking. We've completely never corresponded. But before the date of their event, I was sitting with the client and they wanted to meet me personally. And that personal interaction is always, social is not replacing personal interaction. I think that's one thing that we need to get out of the way, that social is not something to replace personal interaction, but social is something to facilitate personal interaction, to bring your personal space into a much bigger audience, to take your company to a whole different level to target a larger audience. But ultimately, it is personal communication that will also facilitate it when you have a one-to-one with a person. So you also need to build up your personal skills to talk to people, to have a one-to-one interaction, rather than only building it to a wide audience. Because sometimes it may get easier when you don't see your audience face-to-face. But I think that it makes it good to build a personal interaction, have as many talks as you can, sit with clients, build that, and also you need to work with personal development. Like my company is a completely online company as of now, but that does not mean that I don't sit with my clients almost every single day for multiple meetings throughout the day, wherever they are, or wherever the client comes to me. We, depending on the time that we set, personal interaction gives you a more personal feel where you can, it's not that you cannot do voice calls, FaceTime, and all of that, but it's just that having a person sit in front of you and communicating a message may, at this stage, still be a more personal response to getting a more driven response from your client. So I think that building both your personal interaction as well as a social platform works. But if you're talking about a business that is more field oriented, where you want to personally meet people and market a good product or service, I think then polishing more of personal relations with people will facilitate the brand that you're trying to build. But if that is only field related, you can put more of your time and effort into offline development. You can ask, I think it would be better if.
When you advertise your service on social media, do
Yeah.
you use some psychology strategies to capture their attention or make them use your service?
Sure. One thing that I missed, do I have about 5 minutes? Yeah. Not gonna take too long. One thing that I forgot to mention in the starting is I did my bachelor's, I dropped out of my master's. Reason being, I did not see it was not going in the direction of what my company was. So that's just something that I wanted to get out of the way. I remembered it when you were asking me. The reason, something that I don't use anything psychologically because that's not my niche, but something that I use to get my audience is things that would be engaging rather than, see, sometimes on your Instagram, you've got some great pictures, like you've got a lot of great pictures. As a photographer, some people have amazing pictures, but then in the middle, they have pictures of a cat or a dog that does not look very pretty for their page. Because if they're working on a travel page and they have a picture of a cat and then suddenly of biryani, it doesn't go with the whole brand image. So I think that going with a particular style that you derive for your social media and you want people to see you as a certain kind of brand will always influence the kind of response that you're going to get. So it's not basically a psychological thing, but I think it is building a type of market that you want to reach that kind of will get the brand out. Does that help you? Does that make sense? But going with trends on social media, like sometimes font, even when you're posting a post for an advertisement and the font does not work, people will just scroll through it. Sometimes your content may be great, but it is just that the type of approach to the content is not something that would appeal to the audience, even if it is exactly what they want. So I think psychologically what you're saying, you may have to work around understanding what the audience wants and appeal to that, especially when it comes to this new trend. Say for example, for Facebook, we talk about landscape videos. We've always, from the starting of video history, we've been working on landscape videos. But every time we work on landscape videos, we work with those black lines on top when we hold our phone right like that. But what if, when I'm scrolling my news feed, if I get the whole front screen to get a video? So I think understanding trends and moving to using that entire space, for example, it's just an example, it's not everything that you're saying, but it's just that understanding that using as much as possible in the most creative way as possible, whether it is using that entire space and working with vertical video, whether it's working with trends or font types that they like last year, the font type Avenir Next and Brasilia was trending a lot. This year, people absolutely hate that font. So it's just working with things that are kind of the trend to work around. If I post a video right now with the same person who got the biggest hits on Despacito cover when the song was released, the person will not get as many hits now. So the person got it out at the right time. When we were working with mannequin challenges around the country, if I did a mannequin challenge right now, how many of you would be excited to watch a mannequin challenge on Delton Casino today? But when we did the mannequin challenge on the top floor of Delton Casinos, we basically got men's XP and we got a couple of million hits just for one reason, that it was done at the right time. So understanding the trend that is in the market affects the post visibility and the market audience that you can target. So that's one of the reasons why you need to work with marketing trends to understand how you can increase your marketing visibility among your audience. Make sense? Thank you.
So consistency and timing are the two important aspects that we should take from this in brand communication. If that is what I
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for sharing
Thank you.
your experiences and learnings, taking your time out from your busy schedule. I now request Afshan Sheikh to kindly present Mr. Pacheco with a memento.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, I hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the content on my channel, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get updates on all my videos. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.